As we've seen, education in America is a mess. What will fix it? Who might fix it?
Somebody needs to fix it. You can do it.
Oprah thinks this woman can fix it.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm rooting for you.
Michelle is Michelle Rhee.
Michelle Rhee, as acting chancellor.
5 years ago, Mayor Adrian Fenty picked her to manage D.C.'s schools.
You had never run a school system before.
I had never run a school before, and that's why people thought that Adrian Fenty was nuts. You know, I was a 37-year-old girl from Toledo, Ohio.
And people said, what? Who?
Yeah. People said he's lost his mind.
Her friends said she'd lost hers.
I have two kids, two daughters, 9 and 12, and I put them in the D.C. public schools.
The schools were a disaster. Test results among the worst in America. Chancellor Rhee quickly learned that although only 8% of D.C.'s kids were on grade level, there was something odd about how the teachers were ranked.
When I looked at the performance evaluations of the adults in the system,
How good is the adult doing?
right, how good are the teachers doing, I found that 95% of the adults were being rated as doing a great job. So how can you have a system where all the workers are thinking we're doing a great job, you know, a great job for our kids, and what we're producing for them is 8% success?
She visited schools and saw empty classrooms.
I walk into this one school. I go into the first classroom, 5 kids in the classroom. Second classroom, 9 kids. Third classroom, 3 kids, 7 kids. I'm thinking, what is going on? So finally I get to like the 5th or 6th classroom, and I asked the teacher, I said, where are all the kids? And she said, well, it's Friday. I thought, really? I just couldn't believe that was the answer. So I said, is that all? And she said, no. I thought, great. Okay, she's going to tell me that some of the kids are on a field trip or something like that. And she said, it's raining too.
But it turned out that not every classroom was empty. Attendance varied by teacher.
So I'm walking through, I'm finishing, you know, my visit, and I walk into one classroom, and there are 30 kids in this classroom. There, in fact, are not enough desks for the number of kids that were there. So there are kids sitting on the radiators and whatnot. So I go to one of the kids, and I said, what do you think about the teacher? He said, this is my best teacher, bar none. As I was leaving the school, and this was about at 10 o'clock in the morning, that young man and 2 of his friends were walking out of the school in front of me. So I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, excuse me, young man, where do you think you're going? And they said to me, well, our first period teacher, the one that you saw, he's great, so we came to school. But our second period teacher is not so good, so we're going to roll. And I thought, okay, this is not the picture that the American public have in their minds of truants. These children were making a very conscious decision to wake up early and to come to school for first period because they knew they were going to get something out of it, and then to leave after that because they weren't going to get any value out of it.
And this great teacher, he gets paid no more than all the other teachers.
That's right. Gets paid no more. If we were doing seniority-based layoffs, would have gotten laid off first.
So Rhee decided she'd pay good teachers more and fire bad teachers.
And that did not go over particularly well.
Rhee must go. Rhee must go.
A few weeks into this, I was visited by my then general counsel, and he sort of comes rushing into my office, and he says, you've got to stop firing people. I said, why? I mean, if people are not doing the jobs that they're supposed to be doing, we need to move them out. And he said, well, welcome to D.C. Public Schools, where we never fire anyone.
But you did fire a lot of these people.
Eventually we did.
Rhee found a 90-day loophole that let her close some lousy schools and fire some teachers.
There's nothing short of a firestorm surrounding the future of the D.C. public school system.
30 school principals are being terminated this week.
No shortage of outrage tonight among parents and teachers.
It was a plan, a plot, even before she took the job, to get rid of people who have been around, who have tenure.
So you fired 200 or 4,000 teachers. You closed 15% of the city's schools. Fired your own daughter's principal.
That was a chilly night at home.
She upset families, communities, students, and teachers. A lot of people got fired.
She said they deserve to be fired. The system needs change.
Well, many of those thought she needed to be fired.
People really hated you. Hate you still.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a wicked witch of the West. They called me the hatchet lady, the dragon lady, the teacher terminator.
Big bad witch. Time magazine even put you in the cover with a broom.
I actually took the broom to mean, sweeping house.
The Blob didn't want their house swept. The union says poorly performing teachers need a second chance.
Don't you have some union teachers who are just lousy?
We need to lift up the low performers and help them do better. I have not
just fire them. Sorry, maybe teaching it's not for you.
There's a cost to firing teachers. The quality of life of that person is deeply affected by that termination. So
nobody should ever be fired?
Well, what we should do is help people improve their skills.
People would say to me, well, if a teacher is not effective, you should talk about spending the time and effort to professionally develop that person, right? I'd say, okay, but whose children are we going to put in that classroom for this year?
Who are you going to practice on?
Right. Who are you going to say, oh, and it didn't work out? Sorry. I mean, you only get one chance at first grade.
So she changed the policy.
I made a decision that we were going to do the layoffs by quality instead of seniority. And this really upset the apple cart, and people, were protesting.
Why would it upset the apple cart? It's just common sense to do it by
It's common
quality.
sense to you and me, but it was absolutely counter to what the district had always done. It's the way that unions operate, right? I mean, seniority sort of
It just cheats the good young teacher. Don't they get mad?
Forget the young teachers first. It cheats the kids.
Kids were a little less cheated under Rhee. Test scores went up when she was chancellor. But in the end, the union won.
You can get her out. You can get Fenty out.
We're going to fight. If we have to be here every day, all night, we will.
The mayor who appointed her was voted out. And when he lost, Rhee quit before she was fired.
Michelle Rhee becomes a casualty of D.C. politics.
So Rhee lost in D.C. But elsewhere in America, all sorts of new schools are succeeding. And exciting things are happening.